Welcome to Influential Entrepreneurs, bringing you interviews with elite business leaders and experts, sharing tips and strategies for elevating your business to the next level. Here's your host, Mike Saunders.
Hello and welcome to this episode of Influential Entrepreneurs. This is Mike Saunders, the Authority Positioning Coach. Today we have with us Dale Darcas, who's the founder and executive director of the Serving Our Kids Foundation. Dale, welcome to the program.
Mike, thank you for having us on your podcast today, and we're certainly glad to be here.
You're welcome. And I love anytime I hear that someone is serving our kids. So I'm excited about even the name of your foundation called Serving Our Kids. So give us a little bit of your background. What was your business background? And then at some point in your background, you decided, kids are bubbling to the top of my consciousness. Let's serve them. And you wanted to start this foundation. So tell us how that genesis happened and what you do to serve the kids.
Well, it's amazing how it came about. I've been involved in personnel management most of my life through convenience stores. And later on in my life, I became a purchasing agent for a company. And while I was working for that company as a purchasing agent, my daughter came home from Girl Scouts one night and she said, "Dad, there's kids going back to school next week and they don't have back to school supplies." And I said to her, "That's pretty sad, isn't it?" And she went in her room and she took money out of her bank and had me take her to Kmart to buy back to school supplies for a drive that her Girl Scout troop was doing at the time. So I decided I needed to be an example and a role model for my daughter. And we went to one of the counselors in the school and said, next to back to school supplies, what's the next biggest need in the schools today? And the answer was food for the weekends.
Wow.
So we began with that one school with 20 kids and have grown the foundation to where we are today.
And so it's interesting that you paid enough attention to a comment your daughter had that was not even related really to school. It was coming home from Girl Scouts, and then she noticed something. So I guess I want to just pause there and say, you know what? That's almost like a life lesson for all of us, not to get so busy in our lives, personally and professionally, that we miss out on these potentially powerful moments.
Well, it's my story goes back a little bit before that. I actually physically died in 2007. And I was spinning in bed one night and I saw the light and I saw someone in a white robe and I heard the words, "Live for your daughter." And
Wow.
I didn't know what that meant. And my daughter was the one that really inspired me to do what I do and to pay attention to her and see what her heart was and show her maybe a part of life that she's never ever seen.
Yeah, that's amazing. And so you were a little bit more keyed in on then different things your daughter was doing, and so that led you to then the school. And then it's curious to me that the school said the biggest need is food for the weekends, because you think about, well, we need food for when they come to school here, like school lunch.
Well, fortunately today in schools, the kids get a lunch and a breakfast now. And so they get 10 solid meals a week at least. And some of these kids are homeless or at risk for food deprivation and don't have anywhere that they can turn to get the food. So we put 2 breakfasts, 2 lunches, and snacks in a bag that they're able to put in their backpacks and carry home for the weekend.
Wow. That's a huge impact that carries on more than just in the school day, because like you said, they get food while they're at school, but then when they're at home, if they're at risk or even homeless, then what? And so that's something that probably is so much outside of the purview of a school that it took someone from the outside to notice it and then come to the rescue.
Well, and as we've been doing it, in the very beginning when we were small, we used to have our volunteers go to the schools and physically hand the bags to the children, so the children knew that there was someone in the community that cared for them and maybe gave them a little bit of hope and a little bit of light that they could see that there was somebody that cared for them and there were people that were willing to help them to get to their next step in life.
Yeah, that's huge. Have you had occasions where you've been able to do more than just serve the food, but the food becomes an entree to serve the kids in other ways?
Well, our vision was, and when we were smaller, we gave them a bag of food every week, and we gave them personal care items once a month as well. But as costs began to rise and the need for food began more persistent, we turned our attention just totally to the food because we didn't have the funds or the finances to be able to move forward with our personal care item bags.
But you knew that that was a need. So did you go out and start finding some assistants and donors that could help with that?
Well, I was working full-time job at the time, and I didn't really have the time nor
Yeah.
the energy to really pursue what I really wanted to do in the long run. Now, since we've retired from our employment in 2018 and have dedicated our time to this mission and have grown the mission to where we are today as far as giving food bags back to kids, it's something that I'm sure we'll look at down the road and possibly get back into. But at this time, they're telling us there's between 18 to 20,000 children in the Vegas Valley that are food insecure or need food for food deprivation. And we're currently serving 4,500 of those kids each
Wow.
and every week. So we're only about a quarter of the way to where we need to go to take care of childhood hunger in the Valley. And we're now in the process of seeking larger grants and larger donations so that we're able to put the whole program together and
Yeah.
make it work down the end.
So talk a little bit about the grants donations. So obviously when I hear that word, I think of, you're submitting for grant proposals, things like that. But is there opportunities for local businesses, local organizations and individuals to come alongside you in your crusade as well?
There is, and that's how we've survived over the years.
Yeah.
We live in a unique city of Las Vegas, and we get a lot of national conventions that come here to the Valley, and they're looking for a need or a cause to give back to while they're here. And we've certainly touched on that the last couple of years and have grown through those means. We've had companies like Edible Arrangements. We've had the Alpha Kappa Alpha, largest African American sorority in the country, did a beautiful convention for us. We have an Asian men's group coming here in November that's going to go out and purchase food and bag it up at their hotel to the tune of 5,000 bags. So it's been events like that have really got us and led us to where we are today. We've now got a team of people in place that are doing what they need to do. And now it's not just me doing this, but it's a whole team of volunteers that have come together to make this solid and to make the situation look good for the future.
Yeah, that's amazing. Have you noticed, just out of curiosity, working with maybe even the same group of kids week after week, month after month? Have you heard any stories back from some of the teachers of what this has meant to them on a personal manner? Like, has it even impacted their schoolwork and improved things or improved class behavior, things like that?
Well, what we heard in the beginning was the fact that attendance was up on Fridays because the kids loved getting the food bags.
Yeah.
Grades were actually up because kids felt safe and more secure in what they were doing. So yeah, over the years, we found that it has become even a bigger impact on kids, the fact that they do have hope and some kind of light for the future. And not only that, but what we found through doing it is that, these kids, and we just came through a period of time where COVID was rampant in this country.
Yeah.
And we never stopped feeding kids through that period of time. And we actually had counselors that reached out and came to our facility and picked up bags and delivered them directly to their children so that their kids still had food to be able to survive it and to get by. So to me, that was literally amazing because these teachers and counselors in the schools, their love is for kids, and that's why they do what they do. And the fact that they care enough about these kids' lives that they do something like that is just amazing to me, that we have that kind of support and that kind of generosity to help us out to make sure this thing works.
Yeah, it's not just like, oh, here's a check. You'll take checks because you need that to pay your bills and provide more food. But when you see people that are part of the system, the school system, they're caring for their kids so much to make sure that these external programs are still available to the kids. And I really love hearing where, this one thing, food in the belly, right, has much more than just keeping the hunger pangs down. It ties into hope. It ties into confidence. It ties into even grades and attendance. And so many times, if you would hit rewind and said, oh, look, this group of students is not attending school, so let's punish them to make them to come to school. That would not have helped. Or let's do this, well, now all of a sudden this attendance and better grades is a byproduct of showing love and serving the kids and feeding their bellies. And I think that's such a holistic, huge opportunity that now you can take that out to some organizations and donors and things like that. And they see a whole lot more than just filling up bags and handing it to kids. It has that ripple effect.
Well, I talked earlier about that we think outside the box a lot in what we do. And for 13 years, we've had an elementary school that has been doing food drives for our kids. So in the beginning, I coined the phrase kids helping kids because of the heart of my daughter. I felt that if we could teach kids of influential people that their peers were in need, we could change this world one child at a time by using that philosophy, by getting kids involved and letting them know about empathy and how they can give back to the community and help their peers along the way.
Yep. Yes. And then that starts this layering effect, because then when organizations hear they want to come alongside you and help, and then when the kids themselves are going, hey, I want to help, I'm getting the benefit, and maybe even you find some kids that have moved through the middle school or the high school or whatever the age groups, maybe they come back. And so I think it really is something that becomes, an anchor there in the community. So certainly there's a long way to go. Like you said, the numbers, there's a long way to go. And there's things I'm sure that you notice, like, okay, when we can do this improvement, we're going to improve it this way. But have you noticed over the years that there was maybe a failure or a breakdown or something in the way that you grew things that you almost viewed it like a roadblock, and then you were able to move through that and move past it to grow?
Yeah, back in 2012, we came to a point where we were really starting to grow, and we were low on funds. We didn't have any money in the bank or no food on the shelf. And my operations director and I would sit on Thursday evenings after baggings and try to decide what items are we going to have to leave out of the bags next week. So what happened was we had $43 in the bank, and I needed to go to Sam's Club to pick up food. And the bill for that week was roughly about $650. And at 1:00 that afternoon, I got a phone call from the president of our church association, who said they had a donation for us. And she said, do you want me to put it in your envelope at the church? And I said, no, I'm right around the corner. Let me come and pick it up. The donation was for $600.
Wow.
I went and cashed a check, went to Sam's Club, purchased the food, and whammo, we had enough food for the week. And it's amazing in our journey. And like I said in the beginning, it's been 17 years in the making. And each and every week, the food is always there. God knows what our need is, and he provides and gives us the ability to move forward and continue down the road with his vision and his purpose.
Well, it's always neat when I talk to entrepreneurs or, like yourself, visionaries with a nonprofit, and go, hey, how has faith played a role in overcoming challenges? Well, that's just the perfect example, because when you notice that happening time and time again, it's like, wow. I've got faith, but sometimes, you feel like a little shaky, but when it's solidified with those kind of examples over and over, you could probably keep on going with, there was another time where. And so I think that is such a powerful thing to go, you know what, I'm caring for even the least of these, the kids and the ones that can't fend for themselves. And of course, God would feel like, wow, Dale, thank you so much for this work you're doing. And I noticed that little gap there of $600. Let me lay it on someone's heart even before the need arose. And I think that becomes an exciting thing as well.
Yeah, it does. We have a plaque here on our wall in the office that says each day brings a new blessing, and faith makes all things happen. And when you think about that, it's really true. I run this organization since the beginning on my faith and trust in my Lord and Savior. And he's been absolutely spectacular in all the miracles and all the things the blessings that we've witnessed over the years that we've been able to get to where we are. I mentioned about that one school that's been with us for 13 years. 9 years ago, the president of our PTA reached out to me and said, Dale, what if we were to get other schools involved in our area and maybe have a challenge to see which school could produce the most amount of food donations? So we put together a trophy, a 30-inch trophy, looked like kind of like the Stanley Cup, and had the winning school's name on the trophy every year. And over 9 years, those kids have produced over $115,000 in food donations in 1 week each year, because we take the kids on a local TV station here on a Saturday morning to kick it off. And that 1 week, they generate those kind of food donations for our nonprofit.
I love it. And you know, the thing that is neat when you can overlay business principles that typically you would see, like, you know, hey, in business to grow, you would do this. Well, you're a nonprofit, but so many of the things that you need are very similar in the business world. You need to have collaboration. You need to have community involvement. You need to have what you just described as a concept called gamification. And someone wants to beat the next person. And in reality, it's not like, haha, this school beat the other school. In reality, it's like, wow, we're all in this together and we all won. It's just that this school did a little bit better. So I love hearing those examples. What are some other things you've noticed as a nonprofit that you've done to, you know, maybe move through, you know, some of the growing pains in growing the nonprofit that might have a business correlation?
Well, a lot of it has to do with the blessings that we have with organizations and people. People is nothing but a number that puts together an army to make something happen, to be able to do what it is that you're looking to do. And an example of that was 6 years ago, the Killers, a band, local band here, which is obviously a worldwide band now. But 6 years ago, they got involved in a Twitter war with Panda Express because Panda Express used the lyrics from one of their songs on their fortune cookie. So the Killers tweeted Panda Express, "Orange chicken for life, and we'll call it even." And Panda Express tweeted back to the Killers, "Find us a charity of choice in your valley, and we'll donate in your name." Well, Panda Express doesn't donate cash; they donate food. So the manager of the Killers called me up one day and he said, "You're going to get a call tomorrow from Panda Express," and told me what all was going on. So the next day, Panda Express called me. We wound up getting a $5,000 donation from Panda Express and 275 Panda Bowls that they donated to us, that we were able to bring some of our kids and their families here from the city of Henderson, that they were able to partake in those Panda Bowls for that evening. So a lot of that stuff has really come to fruition to us, so that we're able to raise funds and to move forward and to secure the food that we need to take care of these kids.
Did you ever hear what made your foundation visible to the person at the band to make them say to Panda, "You need to call this foundation"?
No, because I had no idea who the Killers even were.
Yeah,
I had to go to
but somehow, some way, they
I had to go to my daughter at the time to
right.
who the Killers were. But the only connection that we had with it was Brandon Flowers, the lead singer of the Killers, was a high school graduate with Pastor Dustin Huffman, who had just passed away, who was involved with our organization. And we just think it was a divine intervention that took care of us and led us to the choice of serving our kids.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love it. You just have to be out there, network, get to know people, serve, give, provide value, over deliver, you know, be visible, and those kinds of things happen. And then when those are talked about and brought to light, then maybe the next thing happens that's similar to it, you know, similar to like this school, you know, contest that you had. Well, that raises awareness. Or when you take the kids on a local TV show, that raises awareness. And those are wonderful business principles that translate into growing a nonprofit.
Well, to me, in entrepreneurship and running a business, there's steps that you have to take to pursue it and to be successful. And to me, the steps are, first of all, you have to have a vision, and then you have to put together a plan, and then you got to put your plan into action and work hard and have the perseverance to move on and to get to where you want to go.
Yes, because you've heard the old saying, knowledge is power, and people are like, oh yeah, knowledge is power. Not really. Knowledge is like the plan you just mentioned. The true power is putting it into action. So the true power of that knowledge, you can have knowledge about the cure for cancer, or knowledge about this business plan, or plan for, serving your kids. The true power is putting it into action and getting people rallied behind you with your crusade. And not even behind you, but alongside you, because I'm sure you would agree with this. I can just tell by your tone. Dale Darcas is not the hero and the leader and come follow me. It's Dale going, come alongside. Let's all lock arms and put our arms around each other's shoulders and serve these kids. It doesn't matter who gets the credit. Let's make sure we're serving the kids.
Exactly. And my feeling is life is building relationships.
Yeah.
I feel if you build good, strong relationships, people will come alongside you and people will work together. And we have thousands of volunteers that help us out each and every year. And to see some of our volunteers that have been with us for years and years become best friends in life and want to do something because they love the cause that we're a part of and what we're doing is the biggest gratification that I can ever get, to see that we all get together as one big happy family.
Yeah.
When people walk into our warehouse, they say, where's all this energy coming from in this room? And it comes from the people that care and the people that want to be here and want to do what we do.
Yep. And it becomes contagious. So we've talked a lot about some of the good things and some of the lessons learned. Is there anything that if you could turn the clock back, you would do anything differently in maybe getting things off the ground or growing to the level that you're at now?
Well, as I said, it was a vision and perseverance that got me to where we are, and hard work, a lot of hard work
Yeah.
to what we did to be able to become what we become today. Would I change things differently? I probably would have organized maybe better and more in the beginning, but like I said, this was a thing we went along as we did. When I first started this mission, I thought it was a year or two project and homelessness would go away.
Huh.
And as we find over the years, with everything that's going on and the movement of people and where people are at, it's simply not going away. It's only becoming more and more relevant and more of a need. And that's why, we do today what we do, and we put the team in place that we did to be able to move forward and to make this successful and to make sure that we take care of children in this valley.
I love it, and I couldn't agree more. And I think that we've talked a lot about some of the key attributes that people need to have to succeed, personally, professionally. Can you put your finger on a couple key attributes that you've noticed that even some of the kids you work with, maybe so to finish the question, some of the kids you work with that maybe you've noticed, wow, you know what, we've served this particular kid or this one, rose to the top, and we've had some interactions with them. What are some of the things you've seen that have helped them succeed, given the opportunities
the
you
best
provided?
thing, we're still looking for that one kid that we served that's going to become a doctor or a
Yeah.
lawyer or a prominent business person, and is going to say, you know what, you guys helped us out in the past,
Yeah.
and we want to come back and help you. What we have seen over the years now is kids that we have served and have worked with that have come back and dedicated their time to give back and to donate their time to help our cause and become volunteers. We have noticed we have received quite a few volunteers from kids that we have served in the past, and that's important to me because they get what they got and they understand it, and they want to, because of what we've been able to do to help them out, they want to be able to give back to their peers as well. And that goes back to the adage that I put together: kids helping kids.
100%. And I know that a lot of times people are like, well, hey, what's the why behind what drives you? And it just exudes through what you're saying. Is the why is serving the kids and protecting the kids and giving them the best chance to prosper. And I think that is so spectacular. I think that is a powerful foundation that you are building. And like you said, you're waiting for the one big spotlight to come from someone that came through. It might never come, or it might come way down the road. But the point is, it's like the old story about the grandpa and the grandson going down and throwing back the silver dollars, or the starfish on the ocean. He's like, well, grandpa, there's thousands of these. You can't save everyone. He goes, yeah, but I can save this one, and I can make a difference in this one's life. And that's what I see that you guys are doing. Is you can't end homelessness or hunger, but you can save this one and this one and this school and this district. And I think that is so powerful. So let's wrap up, Dale, with what are some ways that people hearing this, maybe in your area or far away, can support you and come alongside in your crusade to help serve the kids?
Well, Mike, before I do that, I have one more point that I'd like to make, and it's in the phrase "kids helping kids," because as I've learned over the years as we've done this, not only do we serve needy children, but we teach kids that there is a need and they can help and they can do something about it. We have a local school here. It's a charter school in town that they bring 100 first graders every year to bag food for the kids to help us out. And they get so excited when they get on the bus and they go back to school. They've been doing it 5 years now. And the first year, They left here and they went back to school and they created a $2 movie night and raised $1,000 for organization. And over the 4 years that they've been with us, they've been able to raise over $5,000.
Wow.
So we teach kids that there is a way for them for empathy to give back and to help out in their community. And just to wrap it all up here and ask people how they can help us out, they can visit our website, www.servingourkids.org. 5 years ago, Alpha Kappa Alpha, as I mentioned earlier, did their leadership conference here at Bellagio in Las Vegas. And one of the sisters of the sorority put together a virtual grocery store. So we went down to the conference because we wanted to see how this grocery store worked. And in one day of their day of service, or their last day of their conference, sisters from all over the country were on their iPhones, their iPads, their laptops, whatever source they had. And in one day, they raised $14,950 in food for Serving Our Kids Foundation. So I went to the sister that created it and I said, will you allow us to use this on our website? So now we have a virtual grocery store on our website, which we're hoping is our next method of food drives, that people will go to our website, purchase food, and the food gets shipped directly to us. So that's one way. Over the years, how we started this was doing food drives at Vons, Albertsons, Smith's, local grocery stores, and the need became greater and greater. So one day, my daughter and I were walking up to the counter at Sam's Club with 50 cases of ravioli, and the manager came over and said, what do you guys do with all that ravioli? When we told her what we did, she said, well, why don't you do a food drive at Sam's Club? Well, that made sense because at Sam's Club, we can get it in larger quantities than what we can at other stores. So we've evolved our food drives even further. I've got a food drive director that is now outstanding in what she does. And last year, she raised almost $200,000 in food donations for us through different events that we've done around town. We haven't been able to do our Sam's Club food drives because of COVID and everything. So she's become even more creative and outside the box and got local businesses and schools and other organizations to do food drives for us to be able to donate back to us. So anybody anywhere that wants to do a food drive for us, we'd be happy to talk to you about it because food is our biggest need. And of course, cash donations is always needed to be able to move forward and to come up with different ways of being able to distribute the food to the schools. As I mentioned earlier, we do 4,500 children each and every week. We do that in 109 schools throughout the Vegas Valley that we deliver to every week. So we have an army of volunteers that we put together a schedule and they deliver the food bags to the schools. We have a 15-foot box truck that we load up to go to the outside areas of the valley that are a little maybe further for our volunteers to go to. So yeah, we need equipment down the road. We obviously need a larger location. We had a local TV station came here on Friday and couldn't believe what we're doing out of the facility that we're doing it in. And I know that God is working right now to give us more means and more ways to get to where we want to go. So your listeners, www.servingourkids.org. You can see on there everything that we can do. You can sign up on there to become a volunteer. You can donate and you can visit our virtual grocery store, or you can become part of one of our two major fundraisers, which is our golf tournament and our bowl-a-thon in the spring.
Well, Dale, thank you so much for coming on. It's been a pleasure learning about what you do, and thank you for all you do for the kids in your local area. And I just encourage everyone listening to this to find out a way to get involved, visit Dale's website, find a way to donate, to do a food drive, and come alongside him in this wonderful cause. Thank you so much for coming on, Dale.
Mike, we appreciate you, and thank you so much for the time that we're able to spend and share our mission with the world. We appreciate it.
You've been listening to Influential Entrepreneurs with Mike Saunders. To learn more about the resources mentioned on today's show or listen to past episodes, visit www.influentialentrepreneursradio.com.